For centuries, this ancient statue lay hidden beneath layers of rubble, its identity a mystery. It was found in the most unlikely place, but archaeologists may have finally unraveled its secret. So, grab yourself a cup of coffee and I'll tell you all about it. It was July 3rd, 2024. In the sweltering summer heat, a group of archaeologists was digging through layers of silt and rubble in an ancient sewer. They had arrived at the ruins of Heraclea Sintica, a 2300-year-old city in southwestern Bulgaria, 2 days earlier, with the goal of clearing a section of the Grand Canal or Cloaca Maxima near the city's forum. It was a back-breaking task, as the embankment of dirt filled the sewer almost to the top of its vaulted ceiling. But in the previous 2 days, they had made good progress, and now they were about to reach the layer where they expected to unearth various small finds. Old cesspits and sewers, though not the most pleasant places to work, often contain a wealth of personal belongings from ancient people. For thousands of years, people have been losing coins, toys and trinkets to the toilet. Anyone who has dropped their cell phone into a gaping hole can relate. However, what they found in that sewer far exceeded their expectations. After hours of hard work, they struck marble. At first, they weren't sure what they were looking at, but as they scraped away the dirt, it became clear it was a sculpture. And not a small figurine, but a large statue of a man. The sculpture, tucked away on its side against the sewer wall, was almost intact. The news of their find made headlines not only in Bulgaria, but around the world. The pressure was on, but the team needed to stay cool. The statue was fragile, and its condition was difficult to assess before it was fully exposed. It took them a few days to carefully extract it from the sewer. They prepared a special platform to transport it to the Petrich Museum in one piece. Once there, meticulous conservation and restoration began. Meanwhile, the team continued digging away the embankment in the sewer. It all had to be removed, as it trapped moisture that was eroding the ancient walls of the canal. The air was thick and musty, the faint scent of damp stone mingling with the dust they stirred. But nearly 3 months later, their hard work paid off. On September 20th, they found another statue. It was unbelievable. They unearthed it close to where the first one was found, but next to the canal's opposite wall. The sculpture was lying face down, or rather bottom up, since it was missing its head. Archaeologists were also losing their heads over this discovery, as it's almost unheard of to find 2 large statues in a sewer, of all places. The missing head was a bummer, though. They hoped it had snapped off when the statue was deposited, but even after extending the dig, it just wasn't there. What was obvious, however, was that the sculptures hadn't ended up in the sewer accidentally. They had been deliberately stored away. But why and when? The 2 statues, both originally over 2 meters tall, were made from single blocks of marble by an unknown but highly skilled artist, or artists, as it's unclear if one person or several created them. They definitely weren't cheap, and there had to be a good reason for them to be hidden like that. To better understand what may have happened, we need to look at the wider context of these finds. Heraclea Sintica is an ancient city founded between 356 and 339 BC by King Philip II of Macedon, the father of Alexander the Great. This settlement may have replaced a previous Thracian tribal center called Sintia. It's located in a region where earthquakes are quite frequent, and a powerful earthquake around 425 AD destroyed much of the city's infrastructure, leading to its gradual decline. Archaeologists speculated that the statues were placed in the sewer and intentionally covered with soil for safekeeping after an earlier earthquake around 388 AD. If not an earthquake, political and religious reasons could be at play. According to Professor Ludmil Wagaliński, who led the excavation, the statues might have been hidden to protect them from desecration, after the Roman Empire adopted Christianity as its state religion in 380 AD. The job at the sewer was almost done when the site produced one last amazing find: the head of a statue. It was found at the western end of the canal, several meters away from the headless sculpture, so archaeologists weren't sure if it belonged to that statue, but it was the right size, and hopes were high. When both pieces were transported to the Petrich History Museum, Wagaliński rushed to check if the head matched the sculpture's body. It did. Now they were left with two large, almost complete ancient statues and a burning question: who were these guys? Initially, while the first statue was still partially buried, Wagaliński suggested it might represent the Greek god Hermes, as it bore some resemblance to other depictions of the deity surviving from antiquity. However, he emphasized that the sculpture needed thorough analysis before drawing tangible conclusions. As restorer Kitan Kitanov chipped away the dirt from the sculpture, more details were revealed. On the back of the figure, he found silicified and calcite layers up to 3 mm thick. In his opinion, this indicated that the statue, before being hidden in the canal, probably stood near running water, perhaps a fountain in the city's forum. Such a buildup of precipitate suggests it stood there for several decades, possibly centuries. The two marble sculptures share the same artistic style. The men are depicted nude, apart from wearing small chlamys, a type of cloak, over their left arm and shoulder. Their pose is characteristic. The figures stand with their waist shifted onto one foot, in a stance called contrapposto, which first appeared in ancient Greece in the early 5th century BC. The style was further developed and popularized by sculptors in the Hellenistic and Imperial Roman periods. Considering the archaeological context and artistic characteristics, Professor Wagaliński and Dr. Arina Korzun, an ancient art expert, dated the statues to around 2000 years ago, the 1st century BC or the 1st century AD. With this dating, they searched for similar depictions, focusing primarily on the first statue, which was mostly restored. They analyzed the details such as facial features and hairstyle. This led them to believe the statue wasn't a deity, but a heroized portrait of a historical figure. Their research narrowed down the possibilities. Finally, they were left with only two main suspects: Princes Gaius and Lucius, grandsons of the Roman Empire's founder and first emperor, Octavian Augustus. The sons of the emperor's only daughter, Julia, were raised by their grandfather as his adopted sons and joint heirs. Both had promising political and military careers. However, at just 18 years old, Lucius succumbed to a sudden illness on August 20th, 2 AD. Less than 2 years later, tragedy struck again, when Gaius died of illness at the age of 23 on February 21st, 4 AD. Both brothers were honored with grand ceremonies and were widely commemorated in statues across the empire. It's unclear whether the first statue represents Lucius or Gaius. Wagaliński doesn't want to take a guess, but Korzun thinks it resembles Lucius more. The person depicted in the second sculpture might be the other brother. However, the head hasn't been fully cleaned yet. The statue is about to be restored, but the work will likely take 2 months. It will be exhibited in Sofia, the capital of Bulgaria, in February 2025. And there you have it. Let me know what you think. Who do you believe is portrayed in the first statue? And why was the head of the second sculpture buried away from its body? Like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. See you next time.